Welcome to On the Chain.
Matt Hamilton's here in the chat. I'm going to bring up this Twitter conversation that went through, and then I want you guys to just comment in the space, and we can discuss and kind of go through what was brought up in the conversation. Now, I guess as we go through it, back in December, there was an article that was posted on Investor Place, ISO20022 cryptos. They make a statement. There's 5 compliant cryptos to keep an eye on for 2022 in terms of the ISO20022. Now, they look through it and they single out 5 specific cryptos here, but here it says the U.S. government is helping greatly expedite the adoption of the ISO20022 standards. The Federal Reserve is saying now that the Federal Reserve will adopt the standard in late 2023. The backing of the Federal Reserve Board and SWIFT gives ISO 20022 significant backing. Let me pull this article over here. So then they get into the ISO 20022 standard does threaten to get in the way of some cryptos. There are a number of experts who believe adoption of the standard will get in the way of cryptos like Bitcoin and keep them from becoming ubiquitous as international money transfer plays. However, that's not the case for a handful of ISO 20022 cryptos. There are 5 digital currencies that adhere to the compliance requirements, making them apt plays for the year to come as SWIFT adopts the format. So they adhere to the compliance requirements. 2 cryptocurrencies are not just compliant with ISO 20022, they're members of the ISO standard body. These currencies are Ripple. And so this is where we really need to dig in. I would love to get some feedback from Matt on this one, because what we're showing here is we're not showing the assets. We're talking here, there's a company, Ripple, that has a product called RippleNet that is adhering to the ISO 20022 standards. And then there's Stellar, the organization that also is adhering to the standards. Now, the question is, does that mean that the assets themselves will then become compliant? Does that mean that XRP is compliant? Does that mean that XLM is compliant? If they adhere to the requirements, does that make them compliant? Does it, do they factor in to that standard? So, you know what? I realize I forgot to share my screen. Sorry about that. So Ripple is the first of the 2 to be added to this body, opening up standardization for distributed ledger technology. Stellar is part of this body through IBM. So now what we're seeing in the article, where there could be some confusion here, and I'm seeing a lot of confusion in the space at large, because what we see is we see discussion over these different assets of Ripple being interchanged with XRP and Stellar being interchanged with XLM. So here's a good point here. So Matt, the point is that Ripple is part of the standards body, and RippleNet understands and uses the ISO 20022 standard, but XRP itself is or is not compliant is a bit nonsensical. And so that's why we want to get into that part of it, because there's so much conversation over the idea of these assets being compliant. And so that's where, we just have to get some clear understanding. It's so important to have a clear understanding of what we're talking about. And, so then we get into it. Other cryptos that are compliant with the standard include XDC, IOTA, and Algorand. Now, are they talking about, in this case, again, are they going to go to XFIN? Are we talking about IOTA? Are they talking about the asset? Are they talking about the protocol? what ties all these cryptos together and differentiates them from non-compliant cryptos is their focus on streamlining international wire transfers. Now, so this is where we're getting confusion, and this is why, it's not just clickbait, but it's important to discuss. It's so important to dig in and understand the dynamics of what we're talking about. Because if we're going to focus on these aspects, and now we have this is up on Yahoo, an article digging in. And so are all of these platforms focused on streamlining international wire services, wire transfers? And is it the asset that's focused on international wire transfers, or is it the companies that are focused on international wire transfers? So this again, this it gets murky, and we have to understand this. And so for all those that are saying it's clickbait, they're upset, because XRP, but we have to understand what XRP is. We have to understand XRP, and we have to understand Ripple. We have to understand Stellar, and we have to understand Stellar Foundation from XLM, as we have to understand XFIN from XTC. That's the whole point. That we have to get a good, clear understanding of what we're talking about. And so when we put it out there, you can be upset. That doesn't mean it's clickbait. It means that we have to understand what we're talking about and have a good, clear, whatever. So let me go to the next comment here. This is good. So here we go. Here we go. So Matt is saying, so hopefully, ultimately, with the wider adoption of ISO20022, Ripple and RippleNet are in a good position, and the fact that they use XRP is good, right? But that doesn't mean XRP itself is compliant. XRP has no specific features for ISO20022. So there you go. And now Joy is saying, you're causing all the confusion with your XRP fearmonger. You make 0 cents. Really? Jay, I'm making 0 cents. Jay, we're discussing it right now. We're explaining it. We just looked at the article where there's confusion. You guys, we have to understand it. And Matt is bringing up very good points. I was going to go back to the Twitter conversation, and then Matt shows up. So I figured, hey, now Matt's giving us the comments here. And this is so important. XRP is a great standard. The XRP ledger is probably one of the best platforms that's been developed to date, and something that can continue to grow and build. And that's what has attracted so many people to understanding and wanting to now further build utilizing the XRP ledger. We see the benefit of the XRP digital asset, obviously, for multiple reasons. We see what Ripple's doing. We see what RippleNet's doing. It's important that Ripple and the RippleNet platform utilizes the XRP ledger, is using XRP, for multiple different reasons. And so, that's why I think it's really key. So, Matt says saying XRP is ISO 20022 compliant is a bit like saying petrol is a highway code compliant. And that's the point. And this is good. It's awesome. So there's no issue here. It's just a matter of understanding. That's what it means. And I think this is important. This is really important. Matt, it's awesome that you showed up. If we have standards for roads that allow more road traffic, more cars, etc., then you could take the position that is good for those invested in petrol. But that doesn't mean that petrol is compliant with the standards. Right. And so, and this is interesting in itself, so, but you could have environmental standards, and then your petrol, your gas has to meet and exist within and be compliant to the environmental standards. But the transactional standard. So I think there's still going to be some confusion. So really? So, all right. I like how Ron is saying, you're causing confusion. No one else is confused until now. Well, the confusion is all over the place. So I think what we need to do is really dig into the ISO standards. I need to study the ISO20022 specific. Not sure if it's layered standard like ISO 7 layer, interconnect model and specs application layer, or lower layers. Yep. So don't worry about it. Bank of England has passed XRP and the Bank of International Standards too. ISO compliance doesn't mean anything. It can be changed. So RJ Gonzalez saying here, common sense, XRP is a medium of exchange. ISO 20022 is messaging. So the code on the communication is the one that needs to be compliant. I like it. Good stuff.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.